Welcome to the Business Finance Matters podcast. Over the next 15 minutes, we're going to tackle some of the topics that we get asked about on a regular basis so you business owners can get a better understanding of what it is that you're probably dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Let's get on with it.
David, here we go again. Another Finance and 15.
Raring to go.
Raring.
In the chair.
Absolutely raring.
Prompt and ready.
Got a nice topic for us this time.
Yeah.
Many of us will remember what is being referred to as the banking crisis of the late 2008, 9, 10, that sort of time. Yeah. It was carnage. I mean, you look like you lived through it.
I was in it.
Yeah, you look like
and the carnage.
I had hair before it happened, but, there we go. But seriously, though, as a result of that, banks realigned, didn't they? That, banks were bailed out, banks were this, banks were that. But one of the things I think that happened, to be fair to say, that the traditional way of banking, both for consumers, individuals and businesses, was never going to be the same again.
No.
What did you see as happened straight after that?
Crikey, we've only got 15 minutes, but, that banking crisis, as you quite rightly said, definitely changed the whole way that banks traditionally worked. And we use the word traditionally quite a lot, don't we?
You've used it 3 times in one sentence.
Traditionally, I normally do that, yeah. But anyway, being serious now, but the way that businesses typically worked, and I was involved with that back in the day, is that you'd have your bank manager. The bank manager would be someone that you would have a relationship with, and that person will be your go-to contact. Just like, we've used this analogy before, but who your dentist is, who your doctor is, your hairdresser. No, not your case. Okay. But people that you go to help with whatever it is. And the bank manager was part of that business process. They had that bank manager. Long gone. And the banks have, for right reasons or wrong reasons, not had a great name in the market space, especially for the SMEs. And again, we always generalize about what we're saying, but typically when you've got businesses, let's say in excess of 10, 15 million, the banks will be definitely interested in keeping close relationships with those organisations. But where we are typically is the S of the SME, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's just use a round figure of sub 5 million. The majority of businesses.
Sorry, when you say the business
turnover.
Right. Okay. Right.
That myself and other guild members are involved with. You talk to them about the bank, and okay, some of them might still have an overdraft facility. Some of them might have some C-bills loans, but very few of them have a relationship manager. I mean, some of them, majority of them, I think it's fair to say, don't even know who they talk to at the bank anyway. So that relationship, that traditional relationship, is gone.
Yeah.
But we always have to be mindful that where there are companies with banks, we have to address what is a relationship like, because banks are still, regardless of what business owners might think about them, and I'm afraid that it is mostly negative, there is potentially a door open there.
Yeah.
And we have seen this with some of our banking relationships that we're developing with the Guild at the moment.
Okay.
We have seen a can-do, want-to-do attitude for the S part of the SMEs.
Well, we'll come on to that. We'll come back to that. So let's then just summarise. So banks went west. Blah blah blah. End of the relationship manager for the smaller businesses. I presume that's now. Well, we know it is, isn't it? It's gone digital. You've got to go online.
Faceless.
You ring in a call centre.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it. You never speak to the same person twice. There is no relationship, is there? I would imagine that facilities, are largely there or thereabouts. I mean, are they still taking forever to say no? Are they still taking forever to make a decision for some of these smaller businesses?
Well, look, personally, I only have faith in one particular bank.
Oh, yeah.
Can we name them?
No.
And but there are. I mean, as a guild, we have seen some changes, but proof's in the pudding. But one particular bank that I work with, I have seen a can-do and want-to-do attitude.
Right.
And the way that we work, and we always remind listeners and people that watch our podcast that the way we work is very much driven by making sure that we understand the business, making sure we got a handle on the financials for that business, and then we can make a decision based on what we're seeing.
I know the bank you're talking about, and I know why, and it's interesting in this ever-increasing digital age of AI and all that malarkey and all the rest of it. And I know why you rate them is because you've got a particularly good relationship with someone in that bank that can make a difference.
That definitely makes a difference, but he doesn't make the decisions at the end of the day.
No, but he gets in his car and he goes out and he presses the flesh, and he's doing that old job, isn't he?
Yeah, but he wouldn't get in the car unless I have given him enough information to make him recognise.
Mate, he owes his life to you. You know, he owes his career to you.
And he's got to get the miles in. Yeah, okay. But no, seriously, mate. Seriously, this is an area which I am feeling positive about, because certainly the businesses that I work with now, especially if there are bank relationships in place. And when I say relationships, okay, you might not know the name of the relationship development manager, whatever you call them these days, but they have an overdraft. That to me is a relationship. There is something there that the bank are providing.
Yeah.
And in the number of cases I go and see some businesses, and I'm talking on behalf of the guild members here. Sorry to make it personal.
Sorry, where can we find the guild members?
Can we go with that later?
Right,
I'm in a flow now.
Okay.
Because I'm very passionate about this.
Okay.
But you'll see charges against businesses. So when I say charges, a bit like a mortgage, the bank has a first charge, typically positioned on the company. And therefore, when you see a charge on that business, you want to know what's the charge there for. And there are numerous occasions where we will see charges, and whatever that charge was there for isn't applicable now. The loan's been repaid, the overdraft's been reduced if there is an overdraft at all. But the point being is that the bank relationship, if it's the right way to go forward, is still one of those relationships that we as business finance professionals want to try and encourage for all the other traditional reasons that we knew about in the past.
So let me ask you two very important questions there. So here we are in 2026, 15 years after that debacle, and it wasn't just in this country. It was across, well, certainly across the Western world. So here we are, 15 years. There's recovery. New players have come in. We lost a few during the time. We won't repeat them. Many of us remember who they were. But new players have come in, new products have come in, new ways of working have come in. Two very important questions. Do you think then that we have got back, or are we currently in the stage where you say to your potential customer that you haven't got a relationship with them, it's your first visit, or your second visit, second conversation, have you spoken to your bank? Are we back to that?
Yes. I mean, it should be done anyway as a matter of course, as part of our due diligence process. What is the bank position? Certainly if you see a charge on that business, there's obviously a charge there for a reason.
Yeah.
And we need to understand what the bank relation, and I'm afraid 9 times out of 10, they'll come back and say, we don't have a relationship.
Well, that was sort of that's leading me into my next question. Okay. So, facilities, look, algorithms, we've talked about it on other podcasts, digital, computer says yes, computer says no, all the banks use these systems as well. Well, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And if it serves its purpose and the customer gets what they want, then so be it. It's it'll be competitively priced, it'll be secure, it'll be safe, it can be trusted, etc., etc. But what then happens if that doesn't happen, if there is no relationship? Because one of the big things we talk about the whole time, no two businesses are the same, are they? I mean, if you or I or whoever wants a $5,000 personal loan, it's a $5,000 personal loan. It's a £5,000 loan. It's not, it's not rocket science. It's a credit score, isn't it? It's a credit history.
Yep.
It's all a determination of whether your history proves or demonstrates that that you're likely to repay that money back. But what about business owners then? What do they do when they haven't got that relationship, or they can't effectively get through on the computer lines?
Well, I'm conscious of time here. Again, this is another podcast, but most importantly, that with any relationship that we develop with a business, we need to understand the bank position. I think the purpose of this podcast is to say that there are banks, one in particular that the Guild is working with, maybe two, that are now looking to come back into that small business marketplace to provide the relationship management, to provide the overdrafts, to provide the type of funding that was around back in the day when you had hair.
Thank you. Why do you think that is? Why do you think they've come back? I mean, they obviously did leave, but
I mean, it just makes perfect sense for banks to look at this and for the economy of the country.
Well,
traditional banking worked. Bring it back,
and I think it probably still does. I mean, the thing I always remember is that small businesses become medium-sized businesses become larger businesses, and every now and again, maybe through acquisition, merger, or even just organic growth, they become large businesses, don't they? So, I think it's very important to remember it's like the seed bed almost, isn't it, of the British economy. If you're running a sandwich shop or a squirrel jam purveyor off your kitchen. Squirrel jam.
I haven't heard that for a while.
If you're making squirrel jam, you might not want to be, running a 30,000 square foot factory. But the point being is, I think, and that's the reason I asked you, I detect there's shall we say, a thawing in the banking. It's not so frozen anymore. It's a little bit more tepid, the water. It's a little bit more open to relationship. Sure, you might have to be turning 5, 6, 7 million. And again, as you say, it's not that micro end, that asset, but it seems to be going that way.
Yeah, and look, let's be honest here. I mean, the reason we do this podcast, the business community has struggled and continues to struggle to get access to what we keep on going on about. I'm sorry if I keep repeating it, best fit finance.
Yeah.
And the bank back in the day was the best fit, because of the relationship, because there was facilities available to businesses. Again, subject to, there's always a process, of credit and underwriting. But surely, if you and I had a bank, first of all, what we'd call it, Chief and Beef
Bank.
We would see let's say, there's 5.5 million businesses now. And let's say there's, 95% of them are small businesses. That's a big marketplace. And there are businesses out there generally trying to do what they do. Now, if we bring back that traditional way of banking, surely that's a much better product.
Well, I agree.
Is it not? Rather than going straight to a lender and getting a loan?
I agree. And it's a word that's going around in my mind, and I've been thinking about it as we've been talking.
Careful.
No, not
effing
that one.
And jeffing.
It's trust, and I think banks lost the trust of the economy, of business owners.
Very much so.
And if they've got to earn that trust back, but if they do, then rock and roll.
And again, analogies. There's lots of businesses or organisations for whatever reason have lost trust, and how do you rebuild it? You've got to demonstrate what it is that you're doing and deliver what you say you can deliver.
Yeah.
And part of my role, and certainly members of the Guild, is we have to make sure that if we believe that there is a business here that requires whatever type of finance, and that bank option is there, then it's definitely one that we're gonna look into and see if we can.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. We're gonna wrap this up in a minute, but I think I don't think they're at the stage yet where we're back. I don't think they'll ever be back pre-crash. I don't think that will ever happen. I think the world's moved on. There are other options or other ways of raising finance. There's all sorts of stuff. But I think the banks do have a role to play. We both know that non-bank-owned lenders now outweigh bank-owned lenders in terms of debt provision. That, I think the balance is going to come back a little bit. And I think from your experience, and certainly other members I talk to in the Guild, on that subject, how do our esteemed audience get hold of the members of the Guild?
Well, we have a website, apparently.
Oh, do we? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's...
Don't read it off a piece of paper now.
I think it's www.bfpguild.org. That's the website, and you're going to reel off the website address. No, I've done that. You reel off the email address.
The email address.
Without looking at paper.
Well, info@bfpguild.org. There we go. just crack on, boys. Dave, I think that's a really interesting one. I think there's definitely a move. I can feel it. You can see it. You touch it.
A move is a good way of putting it. Yeah. We're far from it.
Yeah,
on the outside lane just now. We're going down a country lane, and you just say it's thawing.
I think that's a good way of putting it. I think the trust is coming back, and that's got to be a good thing.
Absolutely, for everyone concerned.
Okay, mate, it's always good to see you.
And you look after your hair.
Yeah, and get yours cut.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, good to see you, boy.
Take care. Bye. Thanks for joining us on this podcast. We hope it was useful. Please share, please subscribe, so we can share this content to as many business owners as we possibly can. And if there was anything we haven't covered in this particular episode, then please let us know. Drop us a line. We'll be happy to talk about it in future episodes. Thanks again.